Hello again, and welcome back to Bantam Battles. Robert Max here, and this is log number 16, where we will be doing an after-action report and wrap on Pickett's charge, published by White Dog Games in 2017. Before we get to how I did, the victory conditions state: the goal of Pickett's charge was to breach the Union line so that other Confederate units waiting in reserve could exploit the breach. For any scenarios, count the number of Confederate strength points in Cemetery Ridge hexes at the end of turn 8. If the number is 20 or more, the Confederates score a tactical victory. 10 to 19 is a draw. Less than 10 is a tactical loss for the Confederate side. Well, as you can see, I have 6 strength points on Cemetery Ridge hexes, so it was a tactical loss for me as the Confederate side. Some things to take away. You can see that Lane's brigade of Pender's division and Archer's brigade of Heath's division did breach the stone wall, albeit south of the historical breach point, which was at the angle, or which is reported to be at the angle. But the problems the Confederates faced are the superior Union artillery, and in particular, in this game, Smith's brigade of Hayes' division, which has a strength point of 5. I just could not dislodge them from their placement behind the stone wall. Units behind the stone wall do have a saving throw on any hits they take. On a 5 or a 6, you save from the hit that you received. That also applied for woods and hill hexes. And another thing that really affected my attempts to breach the Cemetery Ridge was once the Union forces started to move on turn 3, like these units here that activated, which in fact actually caused... Well, I'll get back to Thomas in a moment, but these 2 units here, they activated based on the AI, and were able to move and were laying down some heavy oblique fire on the Confederate forces. And there was a point around turn 6 where I really thought I had a chance, but these units here just kept picking off my strength points and eventually eliminated. As you can see over here, you can see some of the carnage, or quite a bit of the carnage. There's hardly any Confederate units left on the field. Back to Thomas over here. These 4 units in the historical scenario do not activate unless a Union unit is adjacent to them. Well, that did happen once the Union started to move on turn 3. But the only one that activated was Thomas, and he really didn't get into the battle. Had a skirmish and lost the strength point and had to retreat. So he really wasn't a factor. But yes, we did breach Cemetery Ridge and crossed the stone wall, albeit only 6 strength points, so it was a tactical loss for the Confederates. I really enjoyed this game. I'm definitely going to come back to it again. It was quite immersive and was actually pretty exciting at that point where I thought, I actually have a chance here. And this Smith's brigade just really laid down the fire, and it was between that and the several artillery pieces, including these over here, it was just very difficult. Speaking of artillery, Hazlitt's guns were essentially ineffectual. I mean, they maybe reduced a few strength points over here, but really did not come into play. As I mentioned, these other 3 brigades actually never activated. That may have made a difference. Oh, and another thing, I did make a few mistakes in the opening moves. The Confederate infantry units activate on a 4, 5, or 6, and I believe one of the rolls for one of the units was a 4, and I didn't activate them, so that may have affected play, because I believe it was one of them down in this area. And so when they finally did activate, they still had to cross Spangler Wood, and that really slowed them down to even get into gameplay. But the game, in my opinion, has a lot of replay ability, and also these other scenarios look pretty interesting. We did the historical one. You also have an effective Confederate bombardment scenario, along with Culp's Hill coordinated attack, additional infantry support, which would activate these 3 units right at the beginning of the game. And there's also the final scenario is Jeb Stuart's cavalry gets involved in. I won't get into the details of what those scenarios do or how they change the gameplay, but they look interesting and they give you some what-ifs, which could be a lot of fun. So, yeah, overall, great game. Had a lot of fun playing it. We'll definitely return to this. I will be coming back sometime in the near future with another Bantam battle. Next time around, we will return to the Circle of the Frosty Crow and continue the 4 Against Darkness campaign. That should be sometime in the near future. Until then, take care.